Hello, Nova Nation. It's WXVU Sports Director David Szczepanski coming to you live from the WXVU studio. And it's great to get started with another Villanova football preview as your Villanova Wildcats get ready to take on the New Hampshire Wildcats this Saturday at Villanova Stadium in a homecoming weekend battle. 3:30 p.m. is kickoff. Our pregame coverage here on WXVU will begin at 3 p.m. Should be a great game this weekend. Should be a lot of energy at Villanova Stadium. Let's break down the preview for Villanova. Obviously, the Wildcats were ranked 5th in the FCS prior to their 35-7 loss to Maine on Saturday. And let's be honest, a lot of things went wrong for Villanova. The offense did not look good at all, especially the passing attack. They fell behind early. They had 4 total turnovers, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. They had a bad blocked kick situation. They also had a muffed punt situation with Devin Smith, and a lot of just issues also in terms of penalties, sloppy mistakes. They had 10 total penalties against the Black Bears on Saturday. And for Villanova, really they just want to flip the page and get to this Saturday against New Hampshire, and they'll have a golden opportunity to do that against the Wildcats, who come into this game. New Hampshire does with a 4-3 overall record. They are 2-1 in CAA conference play. And really, New Hampshire so far, they've been pretty middle of the pack, very similar to what we saw out of the Maine team heading into this past weekend's game. New Hampshire, they have a pretty good defense, a very good defense. They lead the CAA in a lot of categories, including sacks. But their offense is pretty average, maybe even slightly below average. They only average about 22 points per contest. So Villanova, I think they'll have a much better chance on Saturday, obviously, to have a good defensive performance and to stop New Hampshire, who has really struggled to score points at times, especially at running the football. And I think for Villanova, too, this New Hampshire defense is really good, but I also think when you look at their strength of schedule, right, they just came off of a blowout loss to Rhode Island, but before that, their 2 other CAA games were against Elon, who has really struggled so far here in 2024, and their other win came in the CAA, came earlier in the season against Bryan, who is a new team in the CAA, also really struggling towards the bottom of the conference in the standings. So they really haven't played really great teams yet. So I think that defensive stat and how good they are, especially leading the CAA in a lot of their defensive rankings, only giving up about 23, 24 points per contest. I think Villanova will have a good chance to kind of score some points here against New Hampshire. I think they really have yet to play a team that can score some points. Villanova, even though their passing attack has really struggled this season, especially in the loss against Maine, this rushing attack is the real deal. And for Villanova, they hope to have Isaiah Ragland back this week, who has missed the past 2 games with an ankle injury. But David Abbott, we know how good he has been this season, and we really didn't get to see a whole lot of Abbott on Saturday just because Villanova fell behind early, right? This is a team that loves to run the football and keep running it, and unfortunately Villanova just couldn't do that. They had to go to the passing attack to try to catch up to Maine after that large deficit. So Villanova, I think their rushing attack will get into the game. Hopefully Ragland is back, which will definitely add a lot to the explosiveness of this rushing attack. Breaking down some more stats about New Hampshire, as I said, their rushing attack really has not been good this year. They only average about 2.9 yards per carry and about 77 rushing yards per game, which is towards the bottom, if not last, in the CAA conference as a whole. So this rushing attack has really struggled. Their quarterback, Seth Morgan, is a transfer from VMI, and Morgan has had a really nice season. So far, 15 touchdowns. He's thrown 4 interceptions, but he has a history of some turnover issues. He threw 11 interceptions in 2021, so a couple years ago, and then has had some major turnover issues as well in his past, not just in that season, but also in other seasons as well, especially with his passing touchdown to turnover ratio. But he's a guy who will throw a lot of passing yards. He's been really efficient this year, already at almost 1,500 passing yards. He has limited the interceptions, 15-4. That's a pretty good ratio. Even though New Hampshire does have trouble scoring at times, the passing attack does find ways to get into the end zone, especially with Seth Morgan. And the rushing attack, as I said, struggles, but they have a really nice wide receiver core. Logan Tomlinson, Caleb Burke, as well as their third wide receiver, Joey Concorin. Those are really 3 players, 3 wide receivers who've been really good this year. They have combined for 14 of New Hampshire's 15 passing touchdowns. So Villanova will have to watch those three players as you know, a big threat in this offense for New Hampshire to score. They have a lot of different options that Morgan can throw to in Tomlinson, Burke, and Kokorin, and we'll get to see them on Saturday. In terms of my kind of outlook of this game for Villanova, I think the Wildcats really do set up nicely in this game. Villanova, you know, it's a bounce-back situation. They are on a big winning streak at home. They've looked really good at home this year, and I can't believe that Villanova is going to put that same performance in back-to-back games. I mean, this team is just too good. There's a reason why they were ranked in the top 5 of the FCS for a long time in both major polls. Unfortunately, they slid down to 13th and 14th in both polls after their performance against Maine. But I think they're going to come out ready to go. A lot of energy. Should be a great atmosphere at Villanova Stadium for homecoming and the alumni coming back. I like the way that Villanova sets up heading into this game. I think the Wildcats, you will have a chance to score against this New Hampshire defense. Like I said, I think a lot of their stats are kind of lopsided a little bit just because of the weaker competition that New Hampshire has played. Don't get me wrong, I still think they're a good team in the CAA, but I think that Villanova will have an answer for them. And I like the Wildcats' defense against this offense. I think they'll shut down the rushing attack and really put some pressure on Seth Morgan in the pocket in this game. So it should be a really fun game, homecoming weekend. As I said, a good environment here to try to get Villanova back in the win column and to improve to 6-2. Right now they are 5-2 overall on the season. And we'll have coverage for you on WXVU beginning at 3 o'clock with the pregame show. 3:30 p.m. Stephen, Nathan, and I will have the call from Villanova Stadium for homecoming weekend. Hope that you enjoyed this preview video. Over the next 24 hours or so, I will post my keys to the game for this game as well for a Villanova victory. And as always, go Cats!